Hey, I'm Stephen Gillum of Wages of Sin, and this is our 2015 year-end review. Going to be going through some of my favorites and some of my disappointments of the year. I'm going to start off with my favorite 3 movies of 2015. I'm going to start off with number 3. That would be Krampus. Just recently saw this. I love The Legend of Krampus, and I thought it was a really fun movie. Had a good time watching it, and I can't wait to see it on Blu-ray when it comes out. My number 2 favorite movie, and I really struggled with this one because it was number 1 for the longest time, and I had to bump it down, but Mad Max, Fury Road. Awesome movie. I've seen it several times. I'm probably going to see it again if the rumors true they're going to release it in black and white. But it's an incredible movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it right now. Number 1 favorite movie, if you know who I am a Star Wars fan, so of course, Star Wars: The Force Awakens. It was incredible. It's all nostalgia, you know. I got to relive my childhood again, and it was a good movie. It was a fun movie. So, number 1.
Are we on? Are we recording? Hi, I'm Eric Miller. This is the 2015 Wages of Sin's year in review. All right, first off, the top 3 movies for me of 2015. I realized when I created this list there was a lot of nostalgia for me in these 3, and they all happen to, they all happen to be in the 4 range. Number 3 would be Jurassic World, which is Jurassic Park 4, just for the fun, crazy dinosaur romping fun, because you can't really go wrong with that. Number 2, and this is like Stephen was saying, was a very close race. Number 2 for me was Star Wars Episode 7, which is actually in my world Star Wars 4, because I don't count the prequels. It was nostalgic. It was going back to my childhood, growing up with them, and seeing how they're going to continue the story was fun for me. And my favorite movie of 2015 was Mad Max 4. That's just a non-stop fun time for me, and I ran out and bought DVD, and I'm tempted to let my son watch it, but that's just not going to happen.
Hi, I'm Dan Beck of Wages of Sin, and this is my 2015 year-end review. My top 3 movies were 3, Crimson Peak. I enjoyed going and seeing Crimson Peak. I would look forward to it. It was a decent little movie, and I enjoyed it. My second, and I'm pretty sure like everybody else, it was tough to decide, and that's going to be Mad Max. I really look forward to seeing Mad Max. I was hoping that they did a good job with it, and they did. And I enjoyed seeing that, but it still didn't pass Star Wars. That's my number 1, The Force Awakens. I had to go back and see it a couple of days later, so I've seen it twice, and that's my number 1 of the year.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Garcia, and this is Wages of Sin's 2015 year in review. We're going to start this list off with my top 3 favorite movies of 2015, and believe me, this was no easy task. But we're going to start with number 3, and that's Quentin Tarantino's newest film, The Hateful Eight. I recently saw this, and I thought it was fantastic. It doesn't rate up there in the top of his films for me, but it's pretty dang close. And if Tarantino is not nominated for an Oscar for script writing and maybe directing, and Samuel L. Jackson is not nominated for an Oscar for acting, then we have a travesty on our hands. My number 2 spot is pretty much no-brainer, though most of you I think are probably going to say, why isn't it number 1? My number 2 is Star Wars. And Star Wars is a really good film. It's really good, and the fact that Star Wars just pushes it up there too, it's a fantastic film. Alright, there's a few problems with it that I have with it, but I loved it. And not this year can I think of a time where for the first 30 minutes of a movie, I was smiling. And my number 1 movie of 2015, even though I haven't seen The Revenant yet, which I could take the spot, I don't know. My number 1 movie is Creed. And it's there because I went into this movie thinking, I didn't think it was going to be bad. I was hoping it was just going to be good. but it was fantastic. It brought the Rocky franchise back to where we needed it. Sylvester Stallone gives a fantastic performance, and he'll probably win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. It's well directed, it's well acted, it's got a great script. It brings those characters back to life that you love, and it by far broke the boundaries of what I set for it.
The most disappointing movie for me in 2015, and we just didn't watch bad movies all the time, so I mean, and we usually have fun watching them. I did not have fun watching this movie, and it was a huge disappointment, and it was Terminator Genesis. It was just not good. I mean, if you've seen it, you know it's terrible.
All right, my most disappointing movie of this year was Crimson Peak, because I went into it thinking it was one thing, and in my mind the previews showed it was going to be something, and it just turned out to be a little bit different, and that was enough for me to just really leave out of there. I mean, it was a good movie, but it was the biggest disappointment because my brain was scrambled after it.
Worst movie. RoboCop was 2015, right?
Ask Little Gil.
Ask Little Gil. Because that's the worst movie.
RoboCop was 2014.
What? When did we go see that?
2014. Did we see it in the theater?
Yeah. No. That would have to be Jurassic World.
Oh.
And you have the Jurassic Park shirt on. I have to say my least favorite, because I think I've only seen 4 movies this year, and I think that would have to be Jurassic World. But it's like the worst one out of 4. That's not bad, right? It wasn't a bad movie. It's just it wasn't in my top 3. And it's the only other one I can remember. I had Terminator Genesis was probably not as good as Jurassic World. So maybe that was the worst one.
Which brings me to my most disappointing movie of 2015, and I'm probably going to have to piggyback on Steven here, but it's Terminator. Put the poster right there, Steven. Terminator Genesis or Genesis is just awful. It's terrible. There's nothing working for it. It's piggybacking on great films being Terminator 1 and 2, and it just makes you want to watch those. There's no chemistry between Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese and Game of Thrones chick as Sarah Connor. There's no chemistry there. The story's all over the place. They're time jumping everywhere. You don't know what's going on. The future stuff at the beginning of the film is decent and kind of fun to watch, but then the train just dives off the rails 10 minutes in. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. Don't support it. Hopefully we won't get another Terminator movie.
My favorite 30-second movie. We just started the 30-second movies this year, and we had some really good ones. My favorite one was not 30 seconds long, most of them, but it was my favorite one. It was our Star Wars special, the May the 4th Be With You. We just kind of came up with the idea that day, is like we need to do something Star Wars because it was May the 4th, and we recreated the cantina scene in a Western style, and it was my favorite one. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I thought it came out really good.
Favorite 30-second movie. There's a lot of good ones that I enjoyed. But for me, it was the first one we made, which was Better Not Shout, Better Not Cry, because it was the first time I ever met Jeremy, who's an incredible person, and he was guest director, and he had a good vision and knew what he wanted, and we hung upside down, and Dan cut my guts out, and there's an awesome afterward picture of that, of us 4 of us just standing there bloody and tired, and that was a good night. I really enjoyed that one.
My favorite 30-second movie had to be, without a doubt, there might be a doubt, but Roundabout. Jeremy came up with a story, and we shot it in an afternoon. But it wasn't because of the production or anything, because we hurried through it and did that. And it's just funny to watch us really act. That is just because we're not being goofy, we're actually being serious. And the humor in it is so dry, it just reminds me of a British sitcom or something like that. And I just like the dry humor of it, and I just like it. I still get a chuckle when I watch it.
On to my favorite 30-second movie from Wages of Sin, and I'm probably piggybacking on Steven again. It's May the 4th Be With You. As a huge Star Wars fan, it was just so fun to recreate that classic Star Wars scene in a Western setting, and I just had fun shooting it and lighting it. It was just a great time with all the actors involved, and being able to in between the camera to see where we need to move the camera next and where we need to set up, to be able to just reference the scene of Han in that classic scene. It was just awesome, and it was fun. It turned out a lot better than I was expecting.
My favorite review of 2015. My favorite review, I would have to say, is Phantasm. It was my first time watching all 4 movies, and we watched them all together, back to back to back to back. And I thought our skit was pretty funny for it. But I had a good time doing it, and it was my favorite one. Even though when you watch the skit, you can tell we had forgotten half the movie. I looked back on it, and it was a lot of fun. It was my favorite one.
Favorite review. This is again a toss-up. I got 2 up there, but my favorite review, just because I can watch it, and every time I watch it I laugh, was when the 4 of us reviewed the first trailer for Superman Batman, and every time Dan Beck made a face, it zooms in on Dan with the Batman voice of "Do you bleed? You will." That just cracks me up. Jeremy did a great job editing that, so that was my favorite review.
My favorite review of this year was Strike Commando. And we dressed up in the camouflage, and we just had a good time when we were doing it. Little Gil got shot, there was a grenade, it was just fun. And also we shot 3 reviews that whole day, and Steven almost died because we had to eat like all kinds of like cotton candy, and we were eating yogurt, and it was 150 degrees in the warehouse. It was terrible, but being dressed up in the camouflage, and it was so hot and nasty and sickening. And after that, we had to go watch movies. That just stuck with me, and that was one of my favorite reviews that we did, because we actually it was a movie that we loved, and we could have talked hours about that movie, because we could have did a commentary about that movie.
My favorite Wages of Sin review for 2015 may come as a shock to some of you, but it's Angel Maker. Now, I didn't really love the movie. It is a subject that I would find interesting, but it was more of just, I think this was my first official Wages of Sin type review. I had been in reviews of Terminator and big blockbusters, but I think this was my first Wages of Sin review where I was actually reviewing a bad movie. And I just had fun. I had fun watching it at the studio, and it was fun kind of rapping on it, and it was just all around good fun, and I enjoyed it.
My favorite movie review skit. That's the skits that we do with the reviews, and that would be The Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. We got to build some really cool props for that, and we used some of the set like you see right here. And that was just, I thought we probably had the highest production value on that one. That was a lot of fun. And we got some good stuff and some cool props.
Favorite skit? Clear-cut winner for me was the night we got together and did the skits for the Strike Commando and the Stuff and Birdemic, I believe. And we had many costume changes, and we had to drink chocolate milk and eat cotton candy and eat yogurt. And it was about 120 degrees in here, and Steven about died. And it just powering through those reviews, knowing how miserable we all were, was just fun for me. I don't know why it was fun, because I was miserable too, but I had a good night.
My favorite movie review skit has to be The Evil Dead, like the Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, all 3 of those, because we had fun building props, and we just went overboard on that because we were anticipating Ash vs. Evil Dead. And that was just a really fun time.
My favorite Wages of Sin skit is, and which for those of you who don't know, I edit most of the reviews and edit most of the skits and do all that stuff. My favorite skit to do has been Birdemic. And it was really simple with the guys just set up in the thing, and it called for, they had just lame weapons and some guns shooting at these fake birds. And I just had fun searching for the sound effects of the birds. I think I came across the exact same sound effect that they use in the film. And so it was just fun to bring that together. And I love Birdemic. It's a terrible movie. I love to hate it. I love it. But it was the same for the review and same for recreating. It was fun to recreate that skit and be like, this is the quality of the film. Like that I threw together in 10 minutes. But so that's my favorite skit of 2015.
My favorite Wages of Sin moment for 2015 is we had just moved. We started off in our old studio this year, and we moved into this new studio. And I think my favorite moment is the first night we were all together. We had just moved in, and we watched a movie on now everyone has seen the sofa. And we all sat and watched a VHS movie in here, and it's like, this is our new place, and it's just awesome. The potential, it was like, wow, we can do so much here. And that was my favorite moment. It was a good time.
And my favorite Wages of Sin moment was during this is going to sound wacky, but for me it was just, we were filming Assassin's Creed Renegade, directed by Jeremy Garcia, and we had just finished all the daytime shots. And we were all sitting there in Jeremy's apartment, and somehow we all started singing Africa by Toto together. And then we were like, hey, we're all singing the same song. So we brought it up on YouTube and sat there and enjoyed a 80s crazy corny song. And that just, to me, that was just one of those moments of, people that work together well and get along with each other, and there's never any crap that happens. And but actually for me, just hanging out with these guys is a moment for me because I enjoy their company. I enjoy helping them. And I'm glad that they consider me a friend.
My favorite Wages of Sin moment was, I have a short film, Cabby, that we're doing, and it was like just that experience in doing that. Because we built sets, we were down here doing things. We shot like all night long, trying to get all of our exteriors and stuff done. And everybody came together and helped out. And it's good to see like who's gonna just jump in and do what needs to be done to further your vision. And that's probably my favorite moment of Wages of Sin is trying to get that done and just having everybody just help you and help push your vision.
And my favorite Wages of Sin moment of 2015 is just coming into that studio every time. It's literally and the putting together these props that Steven and Dan do. It's just amazing. I'm the type of filmmaker who just kind of throws money at the problem, but these guys are really creative and can bring the gauntlet that they created for Army of Darkness and the chainsaw and some of the other props throughout the year. Those are the two that stand out because mostly they're the most recent, but it's fun. Oh, Mad Max, creating the props for that stuff. It was just super fun. It's super fun to watch those guys create that stuff out of thin air, out of the garbage that's lying around. They can throw something together that looks pretty decent. So that's my favorite moment of 2015, Wages of Sin moment of 2015.
So there you go.
So I'm Dan Beck, and that's my 2015 Wages of Sin year.
So that's all. We'll see you in 2016 with a lot of new stuff. Bye.